Hello and welcome to exceldashboardtemplates.com. This is Steve True. Please visit our blog at exceldashboardtemplates.com so that you're sure to get the latest blog posts. Sign up for our RSS feed. Also sign up for our YouTube channel so that you're sure to get the latest video tutorial delivered right to your inbox. Okay, today we have a user, Millie, who wanted to make a dynamic chart. It has just some basic data, months, likes, shares, posts for Facebook tracking. Wanted a 2D column chart like you see here, but when they add September or October and they add data points in here, they want those data points to be added to the graph over on the right. Now, Millie wanted to use the offset formula and wanted to know a very detailed post on how would they do that, and I'm going to show you that, but first I would recommend something completely different for Millie's team. What I would do is I would highlight this range and make a data table out of it. Now in Excel 2007, 10, and 13, and probably the Apple version, Mac version as well of Excel. I think it might work in Excel 2003, but I don't have that version to test it, and I heard it's a little bit more difficult. But when you make a data table and then chart this data from the data table, it makes it dynamic so that the data table expands when you add September. Those data points also are added here in the chart, and so let me show you how that works. So what I've got here is I've got all of the data that Millie provided. I'm going to highlight the table range, months, down to the last data point. I'm going to go up to my insert ribbon. I'm going to go to the table area here, and it already selects my table range because I've highlighted it, and my table does have headers. Look at that, it's formatted it into a data table area. Now if I highlight that data table range, go up to my insert ribbon, columns, charts, and then I'm going to do a 2D column chart. Move that up here. Let me try and move that again. Alright, so now you can see it's created the chart already exactly like Millie wanted, but when I come in here and add September 1st, I add 444, 440, 400, 300. Look at that, it's just adding those data points right there. If you delete anything, it's going to go away, but as you continue to expand and add October 1st and add 500, look, it's just continuing to add it. So this is really the simplest way for some easy data sets like that. If you can create a table out of it, I really recommend doing that. And your chart is already dynamic without having to learn the offset formula. So that being said, let's go learn the offset formula technique. Okay, so to build our offset chart, we really have to understand how offset function works, and let's do that right now. So let's do equals offset, and what offset is going to do is this is going to ultimately return a range to another Excel function. So that's all it does. It's going to create a range for you, and it starts out with this reference. It's saying, show me where to start, how many rows do you want me to move, how many columns do you want me to move to set the final reference position. From there, how big do you want the range in terms of height and width? That's what the offset function does. So start with a reference, move the reference, how many rows and columns, either up, down, left, or right, and then how big to make the returning range, height-wise and width-wise, from that final reference point. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the what the formula we would want to use for our likes data series within our chart. So we've got equals offset. We're going to choose B3. I like to make this an absolute reference by doing $B, $3. So that's our starting position for the likes data series. I'm going to hit my comma. Now, how many rows do we want to move our reference point? We don't want to move it up or down at all, any rows. So I'm just going to leave it as 0 or blank. Now, the columns, how many columns left or right do we want to move our reference point? We don't, so I'm going to leave it as 0 or comma. Then, this is our final range area. So how big in terms of height and width do we want this to be? Well, width, we only want it to be one column. This series will be only the number 1. Height, we need it to calculate how high this offset function is going to be. So what we want to do is put in a count formula. So we're going to count all of the number values within the column B. Now this is important on B1 and B2. Notice there's no numbers, so that won't mess up our count because everything after that are numbers, and we don't have anything following it in the column B that are numbers. So what we want to do is do a count, and we're going to do $B colon $B. So we're going to count the entire column for our height and our width. As we said, we just want one column's worth of data. Okay, so now we've created our offset function. Now you see here it says value. This throws a lot of people. They're like, I don't understand what's going on here. Well, remember, this is offset function is just showing a range of data. It's actually not going to show us any value. There's just a range of B3 through B13. So in order to see if we've actually made our formula correct, what I recommend is going in and copying out this formula. So I'm going to do Control-C. Then on your home menu, you have over on the far right-hand side, Find and Select. If you choose that button, there's a Go-To selection on the menu. Now this Go-To usually goes to specific cells or areas, but it goes to ranges, and it will find that range in the formula. So I'm going to paste by doing Control-V to paste this offset formula in there, then click on OK. Look at that, it has highlighted our range. It started here, didn't move, counted 10 down and made that its height, and it only wanted one column's worth of data. So it looks like we've got the right formula. So now you know how to do the offset formula. Unfortunately though, if we use this formula within our chart, Excel will convert this to a range, something like it'll convert it actually to this range. And when it converts it to that range of B3 through B13, it will never add any more values to our series. So we don't want to put the formula directly into the chart. Instead, what we want to do is we want to make define names and put the formulas in names within Excel. So let's go ahead and do that now. So go up to your formula ribbon, click on that, then there's this name manager button. Let's click on the name manager. So we're going to create a different name for month, likes, shares, views, and posts. And we're going to do that because we have to put month in for our X value categories, and then each one of these are going to be series within our chart. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's click on New, and it brings up a new name. Let's go ahead and call this one Facebook Axis. Okay, and that is equal to the offset. Now remember, we want to start this on A3, comma. We don't want to have this reference to move any rows. We don't want it to move any columns, so I'm hitting 2 more commas. Then we want to count for our height how many values are in the A column. So $A colon $A, and we want it to return one column's worth of width for our range. Click on OK. We have created that name. Here's the other cool thing. Just like the Go-To area, down here in this Refers To section, you can click on it. In that formula area, you will see, when I click away from it, click back in it, see over here on the left, it's got these dancing ants around the range. This formula is working correctly in finding how many values are in our x-axis. Let's create another one. We're going to do Facebook likes. No spaces in your names, otherwise Excel will give you an error. Equals offset. We are going to start first in cell B3. That's our reference point. Comma. How many rows do we want to move the reference point? We don't want to move it. So 0 or 0 comma. And then, or just comma, I should say. How many columns do we want to move that reference, left or right? We don't want to move it left or right at all. So either 0 comma or just another comma. Now, what height do we want to return for a range? We want to count, so in the parentheses, we want to count of column $B colon $B, end parentheses, comma, and then how wide will the range be? Just one column wide. Click on OK. Let's do another new one. Facebook shares. Once again, no spaces. Equals offset. This one is going to start in C3, comma. Don't move it left or up or down. Don't move it left or right. So comma, comma, count for our height of $C, because this is the C colon, $C, comma, and one column. Okay, click on OK. Let's create another new one. We are going to do Facebook views equals offset. We're going to start first in D3, comma. We do not want to move it up or down this reference point. We want to leave it alone, so we can even do 0, comma, but I like to just do commas. We don't want to move it left or right, so we're going to do another comma, and then we are going to need the height for the range to return of count, $D, colon, $D, and 1 for our width. Okay, final one. Facebook posts equals offset. We're going to first start as our reference point. We don't want to move it any rows. We don't want to move it any columns. So I did comma, comma. We're going to count the number of number values with the $E, $E, and we're going to return one column. Click on OK. Let's check out some of those values. Let's go to the views. Click in the refers to menu area or formula bar area, and look at that. It has calculated how many are there. Shares, same thing. It starts in shares, counts how many are there, and that's the range. Okay, so now we're all set to finally build our chart. Told you the tables was easier, so let's do this. Highlight your range, go up to your insert menu, go to columns, do 2D column, and let's look at our chart. So this is the basic static chart. We add values down here. Nothing is going to be added to the chart. So what I want to do is click in the chart, go up to your design ribbon, go over to the select data button. Now, a lot of people like to just put in their offset formula right here in data range. This will not work. It will be converted just to a static range like you see here. No matter what formula you put in there for a range, it will be converted into the static range. It will not be dynamic. So what we want to do is we want to edit each individual series and the horizontal category axis. Let's do the horizontal category axis first. I find it's easiest to do that and won't cause you any errors. Click on Edit. So this range is equal to our Facebook range that we have there. We need to put in the formula. So I'm sorry, we need to put in the defined name. However, we have to keep this equals offset chart exclamation point as a reference. If we delete that, it will not understand the name. So we have to leave that. And you know, I do not remember what it was called. If I hit my F3 button, it will bring up my different names. I called it Facebook Access. Click on OK. So equals single quote offset chart, single quote exclamation point, the name that we defined for the Facebook access, which contains the offset function. Click on OK, and it took it. You'll get many errors if you don't do it right, so you'll know if it's correct. Let's do the likes one. You can come in here and do this is equal to Facebook likes. Click on OK. Let's do the shares. Equals Facebook shares. Now, if I just put in share, look at that, I get an error. It understands it's not a correct name. If I leave off this first part of the tab reference, it will also give me an error. Let's do views. Once again, if you don't know the name of it, you can hit your F3 button and do views. Click on OK. And the final one of posts. Let's go in here like that. And do Facebook posts. OK. And if you do not click on OK on this, if you hit cancel, you will lose all your changes. So make sure you hit OK. All right, so we can come in here and we can change any of these values. And our chart works just like it did before. However, if we add a new one, 10.1, and I make that 550, look at that. It has added October 1st of 2013, a value of 550. Let's go ahead and put in 600, 700, 800. Look at that. Each one of those values have been added, and every time we add one of those values and also add the reference for the x-axis, so let's do 11.1, it will add that to the chart dynamically because the offset function is being increased by 1 more every time. So make sure you follow all of those exact steps because it is kind of tricky, and that's why I really recommend the table dynamic chart as one of your easiest ones to create. So once you learn the hang of offset function and putting them into names and then pasting those names into charts, you'll be able to do any one of the dynamic charts that you see on my blog. Please visit exceldashboardtemplates.com and sign up for my RSS feed so that you're sure to get the latest post. And don't forget to sign up for my YouTube channel. Thank you.